It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of December 11th, 1998. We have 5 movies to look at, and some notable films, including the year's Best Picture winner, a new Star Trek movie, the latest film from Wes Anderson, a new film from Sam Raimi. We also have a notably bad movie in here, but we'll get to all of those as we move along here. So let's go ahead and just get right to it. We'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, and that is, of course, Star Trek Insurrection.
On December 11th,
we have the planet, they have the technology that makes us partners.
the future of the galaxy,
We're participating in the outright theft of a world.
and the survival of a race
Every living thing in this system will be dead or dying.
depend on an act
There will be no cover-up.
of rebellion.
Lock and load.
Star Trek Insurrection, rated PG. Join the rebellion. December 11th.
So the third film in the Star Trek series featuring the Next Generation team, you basically have the crew of the Enterprise rebel against Starfleet after they discover a conspiracy with a species known as the Sona to steal the peaceful Baku's planet from its rejuvenating properties. And the characters that, in addition to the cast from the show, we also have F. Murray Abraham and Donna Murphy joining the cast. This was a film that was very much one of those films that was dealing with a lot of production problems behind the scenes. They actually rewrote the script several times, and they added in a subplot to have a romantic interest for Picard in this, and it was actually further revised for the ending after test screenings came out. And, after First Contact was such a big hit, you'd think Paramount would let Jonathan Frakes, who directed this movie, just like he did with First Contact, do whatever he wants when he came to direct the next movie, and they didn't. And because of that, this falls onto an absurdly low level that even The Final Frontier couldn't handle. You heard me right, this is indeed the worst Star Trek movie. It is surprisingly even worse than The Final Frontier, and that's saying a lot because Final Frontier was a bad movie, but this just is a waste on so many levels. So where do you even begin with this film? Let's start off with the story. The crew of the Enterprise learn of the Federation's plot against the inhabitants of a unique planet, and Captain Picard begins an open rebellion, and that's it. That's all that happens. First of all, they make it seem like this is a big deal and has never happened before in any other Star Trek adventure, but there have been episodes of The Next Generation where they've had the same plot and do it at the same time, trying to bring in elements from the stories of going on in Deep Space Nine, which at the time was in its last season, and they even bring in the Dominion storyline. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's basically a plot concept in Deep Space Nine where you have a conflict between the forces of the Dominion, the Cardassian Union, and later the Breen Confederacy against the Alpha Quadrant Alliance of the United Federation of Planets, Klingon Empire, and later the Romulan Star Empire. And at the time this movie was coming out, the Dominion was not only beating the Federation, but they were downright destroying them with 800 billion people's lives on the line. Insurrection only brings up the Dominion War twice, and that's it. So what's the point of even mentioning it in this film if you're not even going to have a purpose for it? It also doesn't help that you're rooting for the bad guys' plan of moving 600 people, and that's the only thing about the bad guys you can say that's good, and we'll double down just a little bit, but even then, you don't even want the Baku to even be saved, because my god, these people are so bland and forgettable. This planet is like a precursor to ASMR. Like, everybody talks in this monotone voice, and nobody raises their voices, nobody does anything. There's not one single person on this planet you give a crap about, especially Donna Murphy's character. This is a poorly written character. She's just there to be a love interest for Picard. There's no chemistry between her and Stewart at all. And they make the Baku try to seem like the Amish for the Star Trek universe because they don't use technology, even though throughout the film they have a preference of technology that does not need electricity. So that's hypocrisy at its finest. And what's even worse about this movie is that it dumbs down its audience so much. Like, Picard, who came off as this badass in First Contact, this badass hero, has been basically lowered down to where he was in Generations. It's like they forced him and Murphy to be kind of the Edward and Bella of the Star Trek universe. And actually, I didn't even know. In fact, you can make an argument that Stephanie Meyer may have had an uncredited screenwriting credit on here before she wrote Twilight, because it's that bad of a relationship in this. And to think that the thinking of this movie's dumbing the science down for it doesn't get more obvious in a scene where Murphy's character is able to slow down time, and Picard's basically asking her, how are you doing this? And she goes, no more questions. I'm sorry, what? You don't get a free pass by just saying no more questions. This is Star Trek, damn it. Give me some goddamn answers to why or how she's able to do this, because it's never explained whatsoever. This woman has no charisma or chemistry whatsoever. She is a waste in this movie. And speaking of people being wasted, F. Murray Abraham, my god. You have an Academy Award-winning actor in your movie as a bad guy. Use him. But no. He's only in this movie to make screams like a goddamn baby elephant and just to be bitter and evil for no reason. They waste Abraham in this movie. He's supposed to be the bad guy, and he does nothing of noteworthy but scream like he's trying to pass a kidney stone. That's how bad it is. Like, this is without a doubt the worst Star Trek movie. There's nothing about this movie that's worth it. There's nothing exciting. There's nothing engaging. There's nothing creative. There's nothing funny, interesting, thrilling. 100% nothing of value whatsoever. It's a waste of time, and it's completely pointless. It's a snore fest of a film, and they ought to be ashamed of themselves for coming off of First Contact, which is probably one of the best Star Trek movies ever, and then to do this. This is just, it's inexcusable. It's inexcusable on so many levels. And even though Nemesis was the film that kind of killed the Star Trek series as a film series for a little bit, this film did it first. We'll get to Nemesis eventually, but I'm telling you, it's a much better film than Insurrection is. So yeah, that's Star Trek Insurrection. So let's go ahead and let's keep the bad movie train going along. Here's Michael Keaton as Jack Frost.
Once upon a time, in the town of Medford, there lived a man named Jack Frost.
All musicians really flaky.
Yeah. He had a beautiful wife and a loving son, but his job kept him away from home.
Bet you this.
More harmonicas?
I got that. Morning you were born. You play that no matter where I am. I can hear it.
Then one night, something happened. Something terrible.
Okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. I miss you too.
That turned into something wonderful.
Charlie, please, Dad.
So I'm supposed to believe that you're my dad?
You were the one who played the magic harmonica.
I thought you made that up.
So did I.
Man, I think so.
Dad's the snowman, honey. Charlie's running away with the snowman. Really?
What's the snowman look like? 3 bowls, 2 stick-ons? Hey, that's my branch! Stocky. Well built. Shredding! Oh! Hey, I slimmed down. Whoa! Thanks for giving me a second chance to be your dad.
Warner Brothers is proud to present Michael Keaton
I'm a frozen freak of nature.
and Kelly Preston
Freeze,
He's obviously not talking to me.
in the story of a man who got a second chance to be the world's coolest dad,
As long as you hold someone in your heart, you can never lose them.
Jack Frost.
Are you really proud of this, Warner Brothers? No, really. You're really proud of this. Jack Frost. I'll tell you this much. I'd rather have the 1997 horror film than this movie because, man, basically you saw the plot there. Michael Keaton plays the title character who's a father, a musician killed in a car accident, only to be brought back to life in the form of a snowman via a magical harmonica. And, the results speak for themselves. This is a garbage movie that has a really bad CG effect that I remember getting the beanbag from the Warner Brothers studio store back when we had it at the Monroeville Mall. And, I don't know, I thought, at the time, I thought it looked pretty good. I mean, but then again, I was only 9 years old when this movie came out, so I didn't know any better. I didn't see it in theaters, but when I finally got to see it, I was just kind of like, yeah, this is not a good movie. This is a bad, bad movie. This is a film that could have something to work with, but it just doesn't have anything to it. You don't really like Michael Keaton's character as a whole in here. It's a shame because Michael Keaton is an awesome actor. I mean, he can usually save any movie, but this is just pushing it, and it's just so schmaltzy. It's so gimmicky. It's a predictable storyline that we've seen done over and over again. Nobody in this movie is likable. The visuals look terrible. The cheap attempts at comedy are just god-awful. Like, it's just a bad movie. It's a film that just really does not work whatsoever. And, like, I think Roger Ebert kind of said it best. Jim Henson and Industrial Light and Magic could have maybe made this character a lot more likable if he looked like a real character instead of a CG cluster, but no, it's one of the worst creations in special effects you'll ever see, and it's a bad movie on so many levels. It's a terrible film, and you expect a whole lot better from these people that are involved in here, but then again, this is directed by the same guy that gave us Dumb and Dumber When Harry Met Lloyd, so then again, Dumb and Dumber had better moments than this movie does, so at least this is a step up. That's a step up for him. This is just a terrible film. Like, I really hate this movie. It's one of the worst things that Michael Keaton has ever done, and that's saying a whole lot, considering that Michael Keaton barely does a lot of bad movies, and even when he does, he's usually the best thing about it, and technically, maybe he kind of is in this, but it's not worth it to watch the film. Skip this film completely. Avoid it like the plague. So let's go ahead and get into some good movies for once. Let's go to Sam Raimi's new film, A Simple Plan.
Just like we found lost treasure. We're like Robin Hood. You want to keep it?
Sometimes good people do evil things.
Part of that is more money.
Like there's two sides now.
My brother.
Bill Paxton.
You gotta make us look like it was an accident.
Billy Bob Thornton.
What do I get?
Bridget Fonda.
He's gonna shoot you both.
From the New York Times best-selling novel. A Simple Plan.
I wish somebody else had found that money.
Based off of a novel of the same name from 1993, you have Bill Paxton, Billy Bob Thornton, and Bridget Fonda, and it's set in rural Minnesota, and it follows these brothers, Paxton and Thornton, who, along with their friend Lou, played by Brent Briscoe, discover a crashed plane containing $4.4 million in cash, and the three men and Hank's wife, Sarah, goes to great lengths to keep the money a secret, but begin to doubt each other's trust, resulting in lies, deceit, and murder. And like I said, this is directed by Sam Raimi, although you could not really tell a whole lot from this particular trailer or the TV spots that this is a Sam Raimi film. And it's interesting because this was kind of at a point where Sam Raimi, he was kind of stepping away from what we've known him for, like the Evil Dead movies. He did stuff like Quick and the Dead, and then he kind of went to these more generic type of films for Sam Raimi, like this, and then he followed this up with For the Love of the Game, until he eventually came back with Spider-Man, and we kind of got to see the old Sam Raimi again. But this is not a bad movie. It's a really good mystery thriller. Billy Bob Thornton, Bill Paxton, and Bridget Fonda work off each other very well here. It's cool to see Sam Raimi do something outside of his normal stick, like something that we're used to. It's a very good film, and it features a lot of good performances, a great script by Scott B. Smith, the writer of the book, and it's just a really well-made film. It has so many different elements to it that just make it so unique and so different. It's a film that really was one of the more unique films that Raimi has ever done. And that's saying a lot, because Sam Raimi has done a lot of very unique and very intriguing films. And this is a very good film that shows him that he can do a regular film outside of his normal directing abilities. And it shows in here, because there's not a whole lot of Sam Raimi's usual stuff that we see in his movies in this particular film. I mean, it's a very interesting film to check out. I'd say definitely check it out if you haven't seen it already. A Simple Plan, definitely worth it. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, the Best Picture winner of 1998, I guess. We'll get into that in just a second. This is Shakespeare in Love.
The nation's top critics have a favorite film.
What's it called?
Shakespeare in Love.
Good title.
Winner of the Golden Globe Award for Best Picture, and now nominated for 13 Academy Awards, more than any other movie, including Best Actress Gwyneth Paltrow, Best Supporting Actor Jeffrey Rush, Best Supporting Actress Judi Dench, Best Screenplay, Best Director, and Best Picture of the Year. Shakespeare in Love, rated R, now playing everywhere.
So Shakespeare in Love depicts a fictional love affair involving playwright William Shakespeare, played by Joseph Fiennes, and Viola de Lesseps, played by Gwyneth Paltrow, while Shakespeare was writing Romeo and Juliet. Several characters are based on historical figures, and many of the characters' lines and plot devices allude to Shakespeare plays, including a cast that has Jeffrey Rush, Colin Firth, Ben Affleck, and Judi Dench. And it was nominated for 13 Oscars, as you saw in the commercial there, and it won 7 Oscars, including Best Actress Gwyneth Paltrow, Best Supporting Actress Judi Dench, Best Screenplay, Best Original Music Score, Best Art Direction, Best Costume Design, and Best Picture of the Year. And yeah, needless to say, I'm one of those people that thinks that this movie should not have won Best Picture. I mean, I'm sorry. Saving Private Ryan should have been the Best Picture winner of 1998. This is kind of the same thing that I had with I kind of feel the same way about this movie that I do with The English Patient. I don't hate this movie, but it's not the best movie of the year. I'm sorry, it's just not. Like I said, Saving Private Ryan was a much better film that was nominated this year and barely got anything. It won Best Director for Steven Spielberg again, but at the same time, like, it should have been another Best Picture winner. I'm trying to look right here to see if I can find the other films that were nominated here. Like, Elizabeth probably would have been a good winner too. I like this movie a lot, but I like Elizabeth a lot better than Shakespeare in Love. But then again, the list I see here, now that I look at it more and more, it wasn't a good year for Best Picture. I think, like I said, Saving Private Ryan, I think, was the best out of these ones. I think it should have won Best Picture, but Shakespeare in Love, like I said, it's not a bad movie. It's a good film. Not a great film. I think what keeps it together is the cast. Gwyneth Paltrow's very good in here. You can see why she won the Academy Award. You can see why Judi Dench won an Oscar. You can see why this cast works so well. Joseph Fiennes, Jeffrey Rush, Colin Firth, Ben Affleck. It's a very good cast. A very good script, co-written by Tom Stoppard. Some great visuals all around. A great period piece film. It is a good movie. But I think Saving Private Ryan is the better film. I think that film did more, took more chances, and felt like more of a film that should be what we think of when we think of a Best Picture winner. We shouldn't keep this film just feels like the typical Best Picture Oscar cliche film. Like, this feels like Green Book. This feels like The King's Speech. This feels like a film that is not really the Best Picture of the year, but we're gonna say it's the Best Picture of the year, while all these other films that should have won Best Picture ends up winning it. It's just kind of I have a lot of problems with the Academy Awards. We can delve into this into another topic altogether, but just like things like movies like this winning Best Picture, some of the things that really irks me about the Oscars and why it's not as fun as it used to be. Like, it's more of a job to watch the Academy Awards now than it is a privilege to watch it. And this is one of those examples of a year where it's a job to watch it, because you have to watch and see this film that it's a good film, but a much better film in Saving Private Ryan should have been the Best Picture winner. It just should have been, like, plain and simple. But I like this movie fine. I don't love it. I don't think it's as good as enough to be the Best Picture. I put it on the same category as The English Patient, a film that it's good, but it's not the Best Picture of the year. No matter what they say there, I don't think it's the Best Picture of the year, and I'm part of a very small group that probably thinks that. But yeah, that's Shakespeare in Love. So let's go ahead and move on to the last movie we have here, and that is Wes Anderson's Rushmore.
These are OR scrubs. Oh, are they?
Rushmore Academy's wealthiest alumnus has just met the woman of his dreams.
I'm in love with her.
There's only one problem.
I was in love with her first.
This February, the battle begins.
Now, you and Helen deserve each other. You're both little children. Who's going to try and have that tree over there following you? War does funny things to men.
Rushmore, rated R, opens February 5th in select cities.
So this is Wes Anderson's second film as a director after Bottle Rocket. You have the story of a teenager named Max, played by Jason Schwartzman in his film debut, and his friendship with this rich industrialist, played by Bill Murray, and their shared affection for elementary school teacher Rosemary Cross, played by Olivia Williams. This is a film that's written by Anderson as well as Owen Wilson, and was notably known for not only launching the start of Jason Schwartzman's career, but also kind of establishing Bill Murray's second career. Like, after all these years of being a leading man in comedies and dramas, this is mostly comedic roles, but this is the first film that kind of establishes Murray's second career as this independent cinema actor. Like, we'd see him in a lot more of Wes Anderson movies. Of course, he'd become prevalent in stuff like Lost in Translation, Broken Flowers, and it was really the right move for him to go to after a couple of very bad flops, like The Man Who Knew Too Little and Larger Than Life. And it's another winner for Wes Anderson. I've never seen a bad Wes Anderson movie. I've tried to look for one. I've never seen one that I've really hated, and this is another one that I thought was really, really good. This is a really solid film. Shows a lot of what makes Wes Anderson so great as a director, and it features a great cast: Brian Cox, Seymour Cassell, Mason Gamble. Just a phenomenal cast in here. Connie Nielsen, Luke Wilson, Alexis Bledel. One of her early film roles is in this film. It's a good movie. It's a really solid film, and I really enjoyed it a whole lot. Like I said, I don't really hate a lot of Wes Anderson movies. In fact, there's one that I've never really said I could honestly say I hate. I like a lot of Wes Anderson's movies. This is another one that I really like of his. It's a well-done film, really good film. Can't recommend it enough. Rushmore. So with that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies, and when we meet next time, we'll have 3 movies before we head into the Christmas Day weekend. Christmas weekend, I should say. Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan reunite for the third time in You've Got Mail. We've got DreamWorks' second animated feature, The Prince of Egypt, and also The General. So 3 films to look at. We'll look at them next time. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this on this channel. So with that said, I will see you guys next time for the next video, and until then, take care.